All right, I am back with Dark Souls 2, and this likely will be the finale of my Dark Souls 2 stream. I plan to finish the game today. So one little bit of thing I want to do real quick is enter the memories of this dead ancient dragon. I actually don't know what that noise was. I have the Ashen Mist heart so I can interact with this and enter the dragon memories. All right. I'm in the memory of a dragon. I'm trying to use, oh, there we go. And is that, okay. Oh, that was it. All right, let's go back to Majula. Actually, I can just use that. This is interesting. The crushed eye stirs.
You must have it. What a wonderful feeling. To cast miracles, you must have strong faith in the gods. Miracles began as tales told by gods. We preserve their will with lore, pray to their greatness, and are blessed in return. You must nourish your faith.
Okay. Okay.
Offer your souls to the gods.
So she's kind of a... She can indeed use miracles for real, but it's implied that she sort of stole miracles from Lindeld and is basically just in it for the money and is exploiting people. The game doesn't really go into really much detail about that, except that she's sort of like, it's sort of implied that she's like a snake oil salesman, basically. And she's called a traitor, although it's never really specified how she betrayed anyone, except possibly for stealing, aside from stealing miracles from a monastery in Lindeld. So yeah, we can actually, for some reason, you can't just attack her. You have to use this item to invade her. The invasion mechanics in these Souls games have never really been thought out very well.
Curses. Puzzle me out. You are guilty.
You gotta stop with this healing. Oh, okay then. So yeah, not much point in that, I guess. I don't remember where this bonfire is exactly. Okay. Time to go visit Vendrick again. These guys really do like to chase you everywhere. So Vendrick is just chilling in his zombie state. And I can enter the memories of Vendrick.
Seeker of fire. Coveter of the
That's what he looks like before.
I am Vendrick, ruler of Drangleic. Seeker of fire. What do you seek? Find the crown and your own answers.
The crowns he's referring to are the 3 crowns from the DLC.
From times long past. Seek adversity. As befits you, seeker of fire, coveter of the throne. I too sought fire once. With fire, they say, a true king can harness the curse.
No, you said harness, not cure.
A lie, but I knew no better.
Not really a lie, but yeah.
You know not the depth of dark within you. It grows deeper still, the more flame you covet. Flame. Flame. Seeker of fire. I see you've subdued another foul creature. One of the father of the abyss spawn. That confounded quintessence of humanity. The abyss once had form, but then dissipated. And yet, traces of its existence endured. Each fragment, thirsting for power, spread dark with no relent. My dear Chandra was one such fragment.
Referring to Nishandra, his wife.
The feeble, tiny thing that thirsted for power more than any other. Driven by insatiable lust for a worthy vessel. Fire came to be, and with it, disparate, heat and cold, life and death, light and dark. Dark was seen as a curse. Shadow is not cast, but born of fire. And the brighter the flame, the deeper the shadow. Inherit fire and harness the dark. Such is the calling of a true leader. Dark was seen as a curse. shadows and the such it.
Okay. So you can sort of see that he's wishing for a way, like a third way in between linking the fire and embracing the dark. But he doesn't know how to quite do that. Notice when I was exiting, you sort of saw Velstadt in the background there. King Vendrick is pretty much fully hollow now, just wandering around, and there's a reason he's here as opposed to in Drangleic Castle. He intentionally locked himself away in here and set Velstadt as his guard. The fragments of the Abyss that he was referring to are the so-called Daughters of Manus, reincarnations of 4 fragments of Manus. You know, you have Nishandra, his wife, who represents greed. Ilana from the first DLC that represents wrath. Nadalia from Broom Tower to represent obsession. And Alsana from Elohim Lois to represent fear. Notably, Alsana is the only one who doesn't act in an adversarial role to you. She actually helps you. And she was only with her king out of fear. So she's not hostile like the others. But basically, all 4 of these Daughters of Manus attach themselves to kings of various kingdoms and led those kings into ruin and their kingdoms along with them. Vendrick saw what had happened to those DLC kingdoms before him, and he realized that he was also doomed. So he hid out here from Nishandra and locked away to what's called the Throne of Want, the seat of power in Drangleic. And he wanted the 3 crowns for himself because he believed that they contained the power to resist the curse of hollowing. But most importantly, he's here so Nishandra can't use him to get to the Throne of Want and seize power for herself. And we'll get into why the Throne of Want is so important later. But first, let's start things off. I'm going to put him to rest. Up. Oh. Hey. If you don't have any giant souls, he has a lot more health and this fight becomes a whole lot harder. But since I have 5 giant souls, this fight is much easier because he has only a fraction of his normal max health. Do I get anything for this? Okay. Yeah. Yep. See Velstadt off in the distance there. Because this is a memory. So King Vendrick was here for likely some time before he went hollow. All right. With what's left of Vendrick defeated, there's a place I need to stop by here in the Shrine of Amana. Oh, yeah, probably. I respect my character to be faith focused. I was primarily relying on fire and dark elemental damage, but since the last few bosses of this game are usually pretty resistant to either fire or dark, I just changed my build so I focus more on lightning damage. If you have soul vessels, which are a finite item in this game, you can use soul vessels to respec your character at the things betwixt hags. Can't see. Oh, good. There was like a dragon rider enemy here that I had to defeat, and I guess he doesn't respond, which is nice. So, this door is currently locked, but let's see. So, only a human is allowed to open this door. And this is where I obtained the soul of the king, which is the soul of Vendrick. King's crown. So, this is Vendrick's crown. I'm still wearing the crown of the Old Iron King because I upgraded it and because I like the look of it better. But yeah, that's Vendrick's crown. Actually, I kind of like this crown. Yeah. I should have enough Twinkling Titanite to upgrade this too. Basically, I continue to use a bunch of bonfire aesthetics to raise the level of this bonfire so I can have these Twinkling Titanites in the chest keep respawning. So it's an interesting way of, farming unlimited Twinkling Titanite as long as you have bonfire aesthetics. And since there's a way to farm bonfire aesthetics infinitely, you can just repeat the cycle. Yeah, let me... King's crown. There we go. Nice. So now I need to go back to the undead crypt. So I had the 3 crowns from the DLC Kings. And now I have Vendrick's crown, so that's the 4th crown. So I have the crowns of all 4 kings, and that's going to trigger a certain effect. I just need to talk to Vendrick's memory again. In order to activate it. Cool. When he says strength, he's talking about the crowns. He sees the crowns as strength.
The rest will follow.
Heat radiates from the ancient crowns. And I can no longer enter the memory. I'll show you what that does in just a bit. Dark Souls 2 is considered the most human of the Souls trilogy. And the reason is because unlike 1 and 3, this story doesn't center around gods. Like Dark Souls 1 was all about the gods of Anor Londo, and 3 we'll get into later. But Dark Souls 2 is about humans and humanity. Even the supernatural antagonists, the daughters of Manus, all represent humanity because darkness is associated with humanity in this game. Let's see. Okay. So, since I'm wearing one of the 4 crowns, now that I've united the 4 crowns, spoken to Vendrick in his memory, and seen that cutscene, it triggered an effect where heat radiates from the crowns. And when that effect is active, as long as you have one of the 4 crowns, watch this. That's not what I'm showing, but it'll come in a minute. Notice I didn't go hollow. And my health, my maximum health didn't decrease at all. And when I resurrect, it's going to be the same thing. Oh, I actually should have gotten my souls the first time, so I lost all my souls, but that's fine. Game's almost over. So basically, this Lucatiel came here in search of a cure for the undead curse. There is no cure to be found, but instead you can manage one of the symptoms of the curse, which is hollowing. So you're still an undead, but you don't go hollow as long as you're wearing one of the crowns. All right. Time to enter another memory. And this should be the last memory we need to enter. In the last stream, I entered the giant memories. This is a memory of someone who used to serve the old Iron King. His name is Sir Elan. There's 2 people I can summon for this. I'll go without summoning. This is one of the toughest runbacks in the game. So I went ahead and did the whole rule of 12 thing to clear out these enemies so I could just have a smooth run back. Because although I like to beat Elan on my first try, he can be a pretty difficult boss, so it may not happen. Well, as you can see, I didn't clear out all the enemies, but I'm just avoiding the downstairs. So I don't have to worry about that. Alright, let's do this. Okay, I was wondering what that sound was. And here's Sir Elan. Okay. Wasn't expecting that jump back. It can be hard to time the dodges. Yeah, that was pretty fast. All right, I get it. Ooh. Ah. Oh. Really? Ah, really? Come on. I was mid-heal animation. All right. Yep. Heal. Ah, come on. Alright, need to conserve stamina. Alright, I could get an attack in, but I need to conserve. Alright, this is gonna be close. And I believe he's guarding, yep, the last smelter wedge. Oh, okay. So with that last smelter wedge, I can go back and activate the Ashen Idol, the first Ashen Idol that I deliberately skipped. Because I wanted to make sure I could deactivate all the Ashen Idols around Fume Night. Yep. Let's just avoid that. So I got all 12 fragments of the soul of Nadalia. So they fused into her soul. So yeah, that was easy. You could use the Giant Lord. I don't have any need for the Giant Lord soul anymore because since Vendrick is defeated. But you never want to use the Giant soul. Well, I should say soul of a giant. I mean, before defeating Vendrick. Giant Lord is different from soul of a giant. Whatever. And I respect away from using pyromancy. So, but I still like this, so I'm just gonna buy it, even if I can't use it. It has no stat requirements, but the scaling's not going to be good. All right, in a previous stream, I defeated the Dark Lurker. All 3 DLC are done. So yeah, really the only important thing left is to beat the game. Let's do it. Let's check my rings. All right. With the King's Ring equipped, this will open for me. So I'm heading to the Throne of Want, and it's not in a typical throne room. We saw the throne room up above in a previous stream. There was this big ornate room, very spacious, brightly lit, had very prominent thrones for Vendrick and Nashandra. That's a throne room. The Throne of Want is deep underground in what's kind of like a liminal space, surrounded by what could be considered primal bonfires. So the throne up above is symbolic power, and the throne down here is real power. Now, Chandra has the throne up above. Actually, 2 thrones, now I think about it. But we have the real power down here. And she wants that power. All right, I'm not sure. I'll summon one of them. Because once you get into 2 or 3 summons, then the boss health just becomes a lot. And by the way, you have to defeat Vingarl's body, his headless body, for him to be available as a summon. That's Nashandra's true form. Not the lady we saw earlier in a previous stream. That's her illusion. This is her true nature.
Be one with the dawn.
There's a hood you can get to protect you from curse, and if you get that, it makes this one of the... I actually have it, I'm just not going to wear it. If you get it, these curse orbs don't affect you, and she becomes a much easier fight. Let's see. I guess I'll be cursed for a bit. Oh yeah, okay, this is taking my health away. I should get going. Yep, and heal. Alright. Yep, and she's not the final boss. If I had skipped Vendrick, this would have been the final boss, but since I killed Vendrick before her, I have to fight Aldia now. Do you have any healing spell? Alright, well I guess Vingral's not gonna make it.
Conqueror of adversities. It was your answer.
This guy can be very annoying to fight because there's a fire surrounding him that makes it very hard to damage him without getting... if you're doing melee. Like that. You have to get basically a hit in and then run away before the fire comes back. You don't really get advance notice of the fire coming. You just have to sort of get like 1 or 2 hits in and then leave. So not a very exciting fight, really. If you're playing it melee anyway. Which I used up a lot of my spells on Nishandra. All right. I probably should have worn a ring for fire resistance, actually. Since that's really his whole thing. Well, this spell just keeps missing. I just have to patiently wait, I guess. Oh. Trying to... Oh no, 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 no! Wasn't expecting to have another opportunity to damage him so soon, so I was mid-heal. Oh, come on! No! That could have gone badly, actually.
And remain here patiently. The throne will certainly receive you. But the question remains. Would you
For you to stop talking?
or something else entirely?
So, here you can sit on the throne of want, and you have to, for your character to make the choice between linking the flame, extending the Age of Fire, or letting it go out and, you know, ushering in the Age of Dark. And the game doesn't really place a lot of emphasis on the choice, unlike in Dark Souls 1, because in Dark Souls 1, they only told you about the option to link the first flame. It doesn't really tell you that you have another option, which is to not do it, unless you talk to Koth, who urges you not to do it. But seeing through the lies of the gods and making the choice to go to the Age of Dark, that's seen as a pretty important choice. In Dark Souls 2, that choice is pretty minimized because we've seen that everything is cyclical. So if whatever you choose, if you choose the Age of Darkness, the flame's going to come back. If you choose the Age of Fire, then eventually the fire is going to fade. And we've seen kingdoms rise and fall, like Strayed of Alophus, for instance. Alophus no longer exists. There's been many kingdoms after that, as long as he's been frozen as a stone statue. And where Dragon Lake once stood, there's been many kingdoms that came before it, and they've all fallen. And the theme of Dark Souls 1 is truth. The theme of Dark Souls 2 is basically futility. Like, futility because of the cyclical nature of history. History repeats itself, and that's a point that Dark Souls 2 really tries to emphasize. That, and also the theme of Dark Souls 2 could be, the loss of a sense of self and the loss of identity. That's your character's motivation for doing this. So, unlike other games where you have external motivation, like to save the world or something like that, here you start out with internal motivation, which is to find a way to stop yourself from hollowing and forgetting who you are and everything about yourself. Like, from the very beginning, the hacks tease you about how you're going to lose your sense of self and forget who you are, and that's your internal motivation for the struggles of this game, is to stop that from happening to you. But then, once you acquire the 3 crowns and stuff, then you can sort of assume that your character's motivations naturally start to become more external once you see the fate of the world and all that. It's interesting how Aldia was the final boss here, the true final boss. Vendrick believed that the crowns held the secret to resist the curse, but Aldia saw them as further evidence of futility. So each monarch came to ruin despite their strength that they had. The crowns may give you power, but relying on that power binds you to the cycle that he wants to break away from. you can resist the curse, but resisting it is not the same as escaping it. So, this is the throne of want, but instead of conquering want, he wants you to just walk away from it. You're seeing the examples of the fallen kings of all four of these kingdoms and all four of these kings. You're supposed to learn from these examples and choose to just walk away. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do, is just walk away. But ultimately, choosing to leave behind the cycle isn't the same as ending the cycle. And ending the cycle is what we're getting into in Dark Souls 3.
There is no power.
So we don't have the answers yet. This is the path untrodden. So I'm not sure how loud the music is. Let me turn it down. This is the path untrodden. So Aldia doesn't have the answer. Even though we're choosing his option, he doesn't have an answer for how to break the cycle. But the first step to break the cycle is to reject the cycle. So we're taking that first step by rejecting the cycle. Breaking the cycle is going to come later in Dark Souls 3, should we choose to do so. But yeah, that was Dark Souls 2. So I realized this was a short stream. I allowed time for repeated attempts, like Sir Alon. I figured it might take me a few tries. But yeah, the game is over, and there's one more game to go in the Dark Souls trilogy. That will be Dark Souls 3, and it's going to be the next game I stream. So see you then.